Hola amigos, ¿qué tal? Stuart here from Spain Speaks with the Spain News Update. We'll have a look at some of the main stories that have caught my attention in the press here in Spain, and we'll also take a look at some comments that have been left on the channel in recent times by viewers. Before I begin, a huge thanks to all of the people that have supported the channel in recent times, whether it's by buying me a coffee, whether it's through the Super Thanks option on YouTube, longer-term supporters on Patreon, and the channel members of this YouTube channel. Thank you very much for that support. Now, straight into the news. And it was a busy weekend on the Spanish-Moroccan border in the autonomous city of Ceuta. And as we can read here, a large police deployment prevented migrants from entering Ceuta. No irregular entry has been recorded. The extensive police deployment on both sides of the border between Ceuta and Morocco prevented a mass entry of migrants into the autonomous city on Sunday in response to calls circulated on social media following a night and morning of tension at the border crossing. Several groups of migrants, numbering between 300 and 400 people, have dispersed from the immediate vicinity of the border in recent hours, although the civil guard remains deployed in the area with a special operation on Spanish territory. According to police sources who spoke to news agency EFE, hundreds of sub-Saharan and Moroccan migrants attempted last night to reach Tarajal or Benzu Beach or to storm the double border fence, which stands 10 meters tall. A TVE camera captured the moment when dozens of people crossed the Moroccan fence, although they were intercepted by police before they could cross into Spain. So there we go, and as I said, a busy weekend for law enforcement officers on both sides of the border, the Spanish side and the Moroccan side, with those 300 to 400 people trying to storm the fence there. And let's be honest, this is a very problematic border for both Spain and the European Union. And I imagine it's only a matter of time before those people try to cross over again into Spain. Second piece of news now on police corruption on the island of Tenerife, making headlines today. And as we can read here, the civil guard in Tenerife has arrested 2 local police officers for keeping money from fines imposed on foreign tourists. The civil guard has arrested 2 senior officers from a local police force in a municipality on the island of Tenerife for an alleged crime of embezzlement of public funds, as they supposedly pocketed money from fines imposed on foreign offenders not residing in the islands. According to the civil guard, as part of Operation Martyr, agents from the Organic Unit of Judicial Police of the Santa Cruz de Tenerife Command, with the collaboration of the Traffic Investigation and Accident Group from the Canary Islands Traffic Sector, launched an investigation over 4 months ago after becoming aware of alleged irregularities in the conduct of these local police officers. So there we go, 2 local police officers on the island of Tenerife caught pocketing the money that they got for handing out fines to non-resident tourists for driving offences. They obviously saw easy targets, thought that they wouldn't get caught, and decided to have a crack. And I bet they weren't expecting to get busted by the civil guard, but there you go. So if you've been to the island of Tenerife in recent times and copped the traffic infringement, it might have gone into the pocket of those 2 officers. Third piece of news now, and as we know, Spain currently involved in a diplomatic spat with Venezuela. The Venezuelan government, of course, not happy that some members of the Spanish government called it a dictatorship because, as we know, Mr. Maduro likes to think that he is the legitimate leader of that country. And Spain-Venezuela relations are important not only because of business interests between the 2 countries, but also because of the amount of Venezuelans that now live in Spain. And as we can read here, the number of Venezuelans living in Spain has tripled in 7 years. Edmundo González Urrieta, opposition candidate in Venezuela's elections last July, recently arrived in Madrid, joining over 500,000 of his compatriots living in Spain. The number of Venezuelans residing in the country has tripled since 2016, growing from 0.4% of the total population to around 1.1%. The Venezuelan presence has been increasing since 2016 at a steady pace of 80,000 people per year, with the only exception being the pandemic. Venezuelans have now become the 4th largest foreign community in Spain, behind Moroccans, Colombians, and Romanians Albanians. There has been an exodus of more than 7.7 million Venezuelans, the second largest in the world, according to the United Nations. There are 3 million in Colombia and 1.5 million in Peru, but Spain has become their main European destination. So Venezuelans have been flocking to Spain over the last 8 years or so. And not only here in Spain have Venezuelans been flocking to neighboring countries like Colombia and Peru, also receiving huge numbers of Venezuelans. And most likely, if Mr. Maduro continues in power, which of course is what he wants to do, more Venezuelans will flee the country. And the fourth and final piece of news now, and a strange piece of news regarding Spain's neighbour Portugal, because Portugal's defence minister has claimed the Spanish town of Olivenza. It is Portuguese and must be returned, he says. Portugal's defence minister, Nuno Melo, stated on Friday that the town of Olivenza, located in the Spanish province of Badajoz, is Portuguese and that Portugal will not give up its claim to it. Olivenza is naturally Portuguese, and this is not a provocation, he said when questioned by journalists in Estremoz, about 60 kilometres from the Badajoz border, where he asserted that the Portuguese state does not recognise the town as Spanish territory. Olivenza is a border town and that the Crown of Castile ceded to Portugal with the Treaty of Alcañices in 1297. However, it returned to Spanish sovereignty during the War of the Oranges with the signing of the Treaty of Badajoz in 1801. However, in Portugal, the claim that it is a Portuguese territory persists, and they argue that Spain is violating the terms set out later in the Congress of Vienna in 1815. By treaty, Olivenza must be returned to the Portuguese state, insisted Melo, a member of the conservative government led by Luis Montenegro, which has been in power since April. So the Portuguese defence minister claiming that a Spanish town, Olivenza, in the province of Badajoz, is Portuguese, and he wants it back. And will he send Portuguese troops to claim it? Don't know. Time will tell. Now let's have a look at some comments that have been left on the channel in recent times. One here from Simon. I stopped enjoying summers in the Mediterranean a few years ago. They are now too long, hot with zero rain. 20% of the pine forests have dried up and are completely dead. The traditional wine and olive oil industry has seen a huge fall in productivity. We have been supplying water to keep livestock alive and the bees have all but disappeared. I suppose that if you sit in an air-conditioned office all day, then you don't notice the intricacies of climate change. You only complain if you can't afford olive oil. Yes, Simon, thanks for the comment. And in reply to an article that we saw in last night's live stream about how NASA has put out a report saying that many parts of Spain will be uninhabitable by the year 2050, with extreme heat and drought being the main reasons why that will be the case. And Simon there basically reaffirming what NASA is saying. And it was surprising for me to see how many people in the comment section took the opposite view to Simon and said that the NASA report was absolute. And that is basically where we are at with this topic. We've got the non-believers, people that, as Simon points out, are probably sitting in air-conditioned comfort making their comments, and people like Simon that are out in the field experiencing the changes firsthand. One here from Gary. There's websites where you can buy properties cheap in Madrid that you need to get squatters out of. The report I read said across Spain about 40 properties were being taken each day by squatters, and it takes 18 months or longer to evict them if you can. Yeah, Gary, thanks for the comment. And basically on every real estate portal here in Spain, you will find properties with squatters inside advertised on those sites. And the idea is that you buy the property for a cheap price and try and get the squatters out yourself. And for people with lots of time on their hands and resources, this could be a good option because you end up with a cheap property if and when you get the squatters out. But for some other people, this might not be a very good option at all because there's no guarantee that you'll get the squatters out, because basically you'll end up in the same situation as the previous owners. One here from CL Man. Fantastic. What an awesome town. Think of the amount of workers that built the castle. Thanks so much. You did put in a lot of work. Yes, CL Man, thanks for the comment and referring to a video that I posted on Saturday. I think a travel video. I went to a town in Portugal, a wonderful town in Portugal called Marval on the Portuguese-Spanish border. And it's one of these towns that has to be seen to be believed because of the magnificent architecture there. For example, the castle. And I often think about the poor workers that had to build these structures back in the day, because because the amount of effort that would have gone into building these structures would have been enormous. And the amount of people that would have lost their lives during these constructions, wow. One here from John: won't ever go back to Spain, was recently in Malaga and the place is full of giant hornets, like a horror film. Also, buildings can no longer have the air conditioning below 27 degrees Celsius in all public areas, so all hotels are boiling hot. No thanks. Yeah, John, thanks for the comment and thanks for your fairly negative review of the city of Malaga. And as you said, you won't be going back. Too hot and too many hornets ruined your experience. So bee numbers in Spain are dwindling according to a previous comment that we saw, but hornets are out in force. And my advice, John, would be if you want to take a holiday in Malaga, don't do it in July or August. Wait until September, October, April or May, and you should have a good time. And the final comment here from Manny: what time is the Tuesday live stream? Yeah, Manny, thanks for the comment. Tuesday live stream. In fact, all live streams start at 7:35 p.m. Maybe one day I might start a little bit earlier, another day I might start a little bit later, but in general, every Tuesday, Thursday and Sunday, 7:35 p.m. Spain mainland time. On that note, I'm going to wrap the video up. Questions and comments, please leave them in the section below. If you have anything to add to the conversation today, the comment section is the place for you. Give the video a thumbs up if you liked it, thumbs down if you didn't. I'll see you in the next one. Hasta luego.